I pulled the trigger on my father in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, the acrid smoke curling up like the ghost of every lie he'd ever fed me, and watched his eyes widen not in shock, but in that same goddamn smug recognition he'd worn since I was a kid, like he'd always known this was coming. And part of him had been waiting for it. The turkey slumped on its platter, juices pooling red around the carved slices nobody had touched, and my sister screamed from the living room, her voice cracking like the fine china I'd shattered under my boot just minutes before. But here's the kicker. I didn't feel a rush of triumph or the sweet nectar of vengeance right then, no. What hit me was the hollow echo of his words from 20 years back, spat across this same oak table like venom. You'll never amount to shit.
Boy.
You're just like your mother, weak and forgettable. Life,
Yeah.
it had other plans.
All right.
Plans that started with me burying his sins so deep they choked the air from my lungs, and ended with me digging them up, one bullet at a time. That Thanksgiving, the one where the world tilted off its axis, was in 2025, smack in the heart of a Midwest winter that clawed at the windows of our family home in Elmwood, Ohio. Elmwood's the kind of place where everyone knows your business because there's nothing else to do but gossip over lukewarm coffee at the diner or tailgate at high school football games under those floodlights that buzz like angry hornets. It's America distilled, faded red brick houses with American flags flapping defiantly against the sleet, pickup trucks rusting in driveways, and secrets festering like untreated wounds under the polite, how ya holdin's. Small-town charm.
My ass.
It's a pressure cooker for resentment, where the American dream curdles into something bitter and unrecognizable. My name's Jack Harlan, 34 years old, and if you'd asked me a month before that dinner what I did for a living, I'd have muttered something about freelance carpentry, fixing porches for old folks who eyed me like I was the reason their sons never came home from Nam or Iraq or whatever war we'd shipped him off to last. Truth was, I was scraping by on odd jobs and the occasional under-the-table gig at the lumber yard, nursing a liver pickled from too many nights at the Rusty Nail, where the jukebox still played Springsteen like it could fix what Reagan broke. I'd done my time, 8 years in the joint at Chillicothe, paroled out with a chip on my shoulder the size of Lake Erie. And it was all because of him. My father, Robert Bob Harlan, the golden boy of Elmwood Hardware, the man who'd built an empire on nails and lies, and who'd pinned his greatest fuck-up on me when I was just 19, fresh out of high school and stupid enough to think blood meant loyalty. It started unraveling that morning, November 27th, as the first flakes dusted the gravel driveway like powdered sugar on a corpse. I'd driven in from Cleveland, where I'd been crashing on a buddy's couch since parole, the old Ford pickup rattling like it knew the score. Mom had passed when I was 10, cancer, quick and merciless, leaving behind a void dad filled with bourbon and ball games. My sister, Lisa, 29, and married to that insurance drone from Toledo, had texted me the invite. Family dinner. Dad's asking for you. Don't make it weird.
Weird.
As if the last time we'd all sat down hadn't ended with Dad tossing a plate at my head for disrespecting the table after I dared ask why the store's books were always off. I pulled up to the house at noon, the scent of sage and onions wafting from the open door like a siren's call. Lisa hugged me too tight, her perfume cloying, eyes darting to the kitchen where Dad loomed over the stove, carving knife in hand like a prop from a slasher flick. Jackie, he grunted, not looking up, his voice gravel-wrapped in scotch. Didn't think you'd show. Figured you'd be off chasing skirts or whatever losers do. I bit my tongue, tasting copper, and muttered, wouldn't miss it. Pop, lies, all of it. I was there to end it. We settled in by 4. the table groaning under the weight of tradition, mashed potatoes whipped to fluffy submission, green bean casserole bubbling with cream of mushrooms in, cranberry sauce from a can because Mom's homemade recipe died with her. Dad at the head, of course, his paunch straining the buttons of his plaid shirt, face flushed from the pre-dinner toast he'd poured himself. Lisa chattered about her kid on the way, her second, thank God not mine to babysit, and her husband, Mike, nodded along like a bobblehead, forking turkey without tasting it. Then Dad leaned back, lighting a Camel despite Mom's no-smoking ghost hovering, and fixed me with those ice blue eyes, mine. Unfortunately, the only thing I'd inherited worth a damn. Jack, he said, exhaling smoke like a dragon rousing. You hear about the Miller's boy? Got himself a promotion at the bank. Real money. Not like some folks pissin' away their lives on handouts. The table went quiet, forks scraping like claws. Lisa shot me an apologetic wince, but I saw it, the flicker in her eyes, the way she wouldn't meet Dad's gaze. She knew. They'd all known. For years. I set my glass down, the whiskey burning a path to my gut. Yeah.
Pop.
Real success story. Speaking of, how's the store? Still thriving? It was bait, tossed casual as a line at the quarry. But he bit.
Hard.
Damn right it is. Harlan Hardware's the backbone of this town. Without me, half these folks'd be nail-less and broke. Laughter from Mike. Forced and tinny. Dad's empire, a squat cinderblock building on Main Street, stocked with power tools and paint thinner. But underneath?
Rot.
Embezzlement from the supplier fund, skimmed for his gambling debts in Youngstown pits where bookies didn't ask for receipts. That's what I'd covered for. 19, wide-eyed, working summers there to learn the business. Dad comes to me one night, reeking of loss, shoves a ledger in my hands. Cook this, son. For the family.
Falsified invoices.
Siphon cash, 20 grand gone to horse tracks and hookers. When the feds came knocking, IRS audit. Routine as flu season, I took the fall. Kid's got a future, Dad told the judge. Voice cracking just right. Teach him a lesson. 8 years. Lost my girl. My shot at community college. My goddamn youth. And for what? So he could keep the store, marry off Lisa to respectability, play the grieving widower at VFW barbecues. You think you're hot shit now? Dad pressed, oblivious or uncaring to the storm brewing in my chest. Parole don't make you a man.
Jack.
You're still that sniveling punk who couldn't hack it. The words landed like punches, each one echoing that long-ago dinner when he'd first said it, right after Mom's funeral, drunk on grief and wild turkey. Lisa shifted, whispering, Dad, stop. But he didn't. He never did. I stood then, chair scraping back like a challenge. The room blurred at the edges, pulse thundering in my ears. In my coat pocket, heavy as sin, the .38 I'd bought off a tweaker in Cleveland. No cereal. No questions. You know what?
Pop?
You're right. I ain't amounted to much. But that's on you. His laugh barked out. Condescending. The kind that strips you bare. Excuses. Always excuses. That's when I drew it. The gun cold in my palm.
Pointed square at his chest.
Lisa gasped. Mike froze mid-chew, the cranberry stain on his napkin blooming like blood. Dad just stared, cigarette dangling, ash tumbling forgotten. What the hell is this?
Boy?
You gonna play cowboy? No fear. Just that flip, from patriarch to predator. Eyes narrowing like he was calculating odds on a blackjack table. I squeezed. The bang was deafening in that close space. Wood-paneled walls amplifying it into thunder. He jerked back, chair toppling, hand clutching his shoulder where red bloomed through flannel. Not fatal, God.
No.
I wanted him to suffer the slow way. That's for the ledger. You son of a bitch, I hissed, voice steady as the barrel I kept trained on him. And the years. And Mom, who you broke long before the cancer did. Chaos erupted. Lisa lunged for the phone,
Sobbing.
Jack.
No.
What are you doing? Mike herded her back, fumbling for his keys. Dad groaned, sliding to the floor. But his eyes, those eyes, locked on mine with something like pride twisted sour. Knew you had it in you, he wheezed. But you think this ends it? You think I didn't plan for stupid? Sirens wailed distant. Neighbors' curtains twitching like voyeurs at a peep show. I holstered the piece, stepping over the spilled gravy boat, and knelt close enough to smell his fearless sweat. It ends when I say,
Pop.
And I got stories to tell. Starting with the body in the basement. Because that was the real hook. The secret buried deeper than the foundation of this shithole house. Not just the money. A life.
Taken.
And I'd carried that weight too. The ambulance lights painted the snow red and blue as they hauled Dad out on a stretcher. His curses muffled by the oxygen mask. Medics barking orders like it was just another bar fight gone south. I stood on the porch, hands cuffed behind me courtesy of Deputy Harlan. Irony's a bitch. And he's my cousin, watching the taillights fade down Maple Lane. Lisa wouldn't look at me, her face pale as the gingerbread dough she'd rolled out that morning, now abandoned on the counter.
Why?
Jack, she whispered as they loaded me into the cruiser, her voice a knife twist. He was getting better.
Better.
Like slapping paint over dry rot. They booked me into county lockup that night, the holding cell smelling of piss and regret, fluorescent buzz drilling into my skull. Sleep?
Hell no.
My mind replayed it all, frame by frame. The recoil in my palm, the wet smack of the bullet into flesh, Dad's gasp turning to that guttural laugh. Plan for stupid, he'd said. What did that mean? I'd find out soon enough. But first, the why, the long, twisted road that led me from wide-eyed kid to the man who'd finally pulled the trigger. Flashback to '04, the summer I turned 19. Elmwood was baking under a heat dome that cracked the asphalt and turned the Cuyahoga River to soup. I'd just graduated, barely, with a 2.1 GPA and a football scholarship to a junior college that evaporated when Coach found out about the weed in my locker. Dad saw opportunity. Work the store. Son. Learn a trade. Your mother's money's gone. And college is for pussies anyway. Mom's insurance, 40 grand, had vanished into his investments, which I later learned meant poker nights in Akron basements. Harlan Hardware was Dad's kingdom, aisles of gleaming saws and screws. The air thick with sawdust and WD-40 promise. I stocked shelves, rang up locals who clapped me on the back. Bob's boy.
Huh?
You'll run this place someday, while Dad barked orders from the office. Door cracked just enough to catch the clink of ice in his tumbler. He was charming then, the way snakes are before they coil, handshakes firm at chamber meetings, donations to the Lions Club that bought him favors. But at home, the mask slipped. Dinners were interrogations. Why'd you fumble that pass? Jack, weak hands, weak spine. Lisa, 2 years younger, shrank into her books, dreaming of escape via beauty pageants and that eventual ring for Mike. It was late August when the darkness cracked open. I'd stayed after close to balance inventory, the store empty save for the hum of the cooler. Dad stumbled in from the back lot. "Ty, ask you." Eyes bloodshot. "Jackie," he slurred, gripping the counter like it was the only solid thing. "We got a problem." He slapped a manila folder down, supplier invoices. But the numbers danced wrong. Shortages. $20K missing. Funneled to his bookie, Vinny the Fist Russo, who ran underground fights in Cleveland warehouses. "Fix it," he said, shoving a pen at me. My stomach nodded. "Pop, this is fraud. Felony shit." His face darkened. That flip happening fast, father to foe in a heartbeat. "You think you're better? After what you did to your mother?"
Lie.
"Mom's death was clean," doctors said. But he'd plant seeds like that. Doubts that festered. "Sign it, or we're all done." Store closes. Lisa starves. I go upriver. "You want that on your head?" I signed. Forged dates. Inflated orders. It felt like puking up my soul. Weeks later, the auditor came, a pencil neck from Columbus, clipboard in hand. Dad played the distraught patriarch. "My boy.
He's young.
Made a mistake."
Me?
I confessed everything, voice steady in the station house, while Dad wept crocodile tears outside. Judge gave me 5 to 8, suspended 2 for good behavior, but prison's no picnic. Chillicothe Correctional. Concrete tombs where time stretches like taffy. And family visits meant Lisa's guilty glances through plexiglass. But that was the money. The real sin, the one that turned my blood to battery acid, was the body. It happened 6 months before the ledger. Spring '04, when the river ran high from meltwater. Dad had a partner back then, Uncle Ray, Mom's brother, a slick realtor from Dayton who'd fronted cash for store expansions. Ray was the schemer, always with an angle, flip properties, skim taxes, that white-collar hustle that passes for ambition in Ohio.
But Dad?
He was the muscle, the blunt instrument. They'd argued over a deal gone south, a strip mall on the edge of town, permits greased but profits vanishing. Ray showed up at the house one night, storming the garage where Dad tinkered with his '78 Chevy. I heard it from my room. Shouts, the meaty thud of fists, then a crack like lightning. Dad's crowbar swung wild. Ray crumpled, skull caved, blood pooling black on the oil-stained floor. Accident, Dad told me later, cleaning his hands with Gojo like it was just another spill. He came at me.
Jack.
Self-defense. But it wasn't. And instead of calling the sheriff, Dad panicked. Wrapped Ray in tarps, drove out to the old quarry off Route 82, abandoned since the '90s. Chain link sagging like tired skin. Dug a shallow grave under moonlight, me holding the flashlight because family helps family. I was 18, shaking so bad the beam danced. "This stays buried," he growled, patting soil over the mound. "Or we're all monsters." Ray vanished. Moved to Florida, Dad told the cops. And the town bought it, family drama, nothing more. Lisa was too young to question. Mom was fading, chemo sapping her questions. I carried it, though that weight, heavier than any barbell in the yard. Dreams of Ray's eyes, glassy and accusing, woke me sweating in my bunk. Parole board asked about regrets in 12. I lied smooth, got my papers stamped. But freedom? It was a leash, yanking me back to Elmwood when Dad's latest scheme, a Ponzi light for loyal customers, started whispering my name again.
Out.
I drifted to Cleveland, bartending dives where ex-cons swap war stories like trading cards. That's where I met Eddie, a wiry hacker with a rap sheet longer than his ponytail, who owed me for pulling him from a brawl. Dig dirt, I told him over PBRs. On Bob Harlan. Eddie grinned, fingers flying over his laptop. Weeks later, files dropped, not just the old skim, but ties to Russo's crew. And worse, a life insurance payout on Ray. Cashed by Dad. Forged signature mine. You were the fall guy twice. Man, Eddie said. He pinned Ray's policy too. Cops never connected it. Rage bloomed slow. A weed in cracked concrete. I planned quiet. Surveil the house. Tap Lisa's phone, guilt ate me. But blood's thicker than mercy. Turns out, she knew scraps, overheard arguments, saw the blood on Dad's shirt once, washed it silent. He said it was paint. She confessed in a voicemail I played on loop. I believed him for us. For us. The betrayal cut deepest there, sister. My shield in kid fights. Now complicit in the cage. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine. I drove south. Gun cleaned. Resolve oiled. Dad's words that day.
Catalyst.
But as the cruiser bumped toward lockup, his wheeze echoed. Plan for stupid. What now? Bail hearing at dawn. Lawyers circling like vultures. Little did I know, the real twist was just uncoiling. Dad's ace. Played from a hospital bed. About to flip the board. Dawn in county jail tastes like stale Folgers and despair. The trusty slopping oatmeal that sticks to your ribs like regret. They let me shave blunt razor scraping whiskers I'd grown to hide the hollows in my cheeks, and by 9, I was in front of Judge Harlan again. Irony squared, since it was Cousin Tommy under the robe. Dad's lawyer. That weasel-faced prick from Youngstown named Kessler. Argued temporary insanity due to familial stress, while the ADA painted me as a recidivist menace. Tommy set bail at $50K, steep for a parolee, but Eddie wired it from some crypto slush fund, whispering, "Don't ask," as he sprung me into the gray November light. First stop, the hospital. St. Mary's in Warren, where Dad lay propped in a semi-private room, shoulder bandaged like a badge of dishonor, for dripping morphine that softened his scowl to something almost human. A cop dozed in the hall, bought off or bored. Take your pick, and Kessler lurked by the vending machine, pecking at his phone. I slipped in quiet, the door snicking shut like a vault. "Jackie boy," Dad rasped, eyes cracking open. That flip again from victim to viper. Ballsy move. Stupid, but ballsy. No rage, just appraisal. Like I was a tool he'd tested and found wanting. I pulled the visitor chair close, knees brushing the bedrail. Save the pep talk.
Pop.
Cops are crawling the house. They'll find the quarry soon enough. I've got photos from Eddie. Timestamps matching Ray's disappearance. His laugh hacked wet. Pain etching lines deeper. Photos? Of dirt?
Boy.
You think that's evidence? He shifted, wincing, and waved his good hand.
Seat.
We talk terms. Terms. As if this was a negotiation over fence posts, not patricide attempted. But I sat. Because the devil you know, or in this case, the demon who sired you. He spun it smooth, morphine loosening his tongue but not his guile. Ray wasn't just a partner. He was Mom's lover, the uncle who'd snuck into her bed while Dad worked doubles. Found letters, Dad said, voice dropping conspiratorial. In her hope chest, after she went. Planning to run off with you kids. Leave me high and dry. Bullshit. Or half-truth. I'd seen Ray's easy hugs with Mom. The way she'd light up at his visits.
But Dad?
He'd turned jealousy to murder. Crowbar a lover's revenge. And the insurance? I pressed, leaning in, smelling antiseptic and old betrayal. You forged my name. Made me the beneficiary ghost. He shrugged the bad shoulder.
Hissing. Had to.
Ray's payout was clean, self-defense claim pending. But cops sniffed the affair. You took the fall pretty.
Jack.
Kept the store afloat. Lisa in dresses. For her. Always the ghost of sisterly salvation. Then the flip, remorse, or the act of it. Tears welled, real or rehearsed. Who'd know? And he gripped my wrist. Fingers iron despite the drip. I was lost.
Son.
After your ma. She broke me. Ray pushed. I swung. But you?
You're the man now.
Drop the quarry shit. Recant to Kessler. We say it was a fight. Heat of the moment. Insurance money's yours, $500,000. Tucked in a Cayman account Eddie'll never hack. Bait. Sweet as candied yams. $500,000 could buy a new life. Bolt to Seattle. Vanish into craft brews and tech bros. Leave Elmwood's chokehold. I yanked free. Standing slow. You think money erases 8 years? The screams in my cell.
Pop.
Ray's ghost. His eyes hardened. The mask cracking. Suit yourself. But Lisa knows more than you think. And Mike? He's got debts. Russo's calling them in. One word for me. And your sister's Thanksgiving's in a ditch. Threat. Veiled as concern. The schemer's playbook. Leverage kin. Flip alliances like cards. I left him there, plodding under painkillers, and hit the road back to Elmwood. Eddie met me at a Waffle House off I-80. Stack of pancakes cooling between us as he slid a burner phone across. Your sister's line's hot. Calls to a prepaid, burner to burner. And get this, Dad's got a safety deposit box in your name. Deed to the store. Dated post-prison. He planned to drag you back in, make you the front for more schemes. Paranoia itched like fiberglass. I drove to the house under twilight. Snow thickening to a shroud. Lisa's minivan idled in the drive. Mike inside, nursing a beer. Face bruised from.
What?
Jack. She breathed as I stepped in. Hugging fierce despite the blood between us. The hospital called. He's stable. But the police. They're digging tomorrow. Quarry permit expired or some crap. We sat in the living room. Fire crackling low. Photos of better days mocking from the mantel. Me at 12. Gap-toothed grin. Lisa in her prom dress. Dad with Mom. Arms linked at Cedar Point. Tell me everything, I said, voice low. She crumbled then, words tumbling like an avalanche. She'd found Ray's watch in the garage trash years back, engraved to R from E, Mom's initial. Confronted Dad at 16. Got the sanitized version. Accident. Burial to protect the family name. But recently, Mike's gambling, echo of Dad's vice, had Russo knocking. Dad bailed them out. But with strings, keep quiet about the old man. Betrayal layered like onion skin, peeling to reveal rot. Lisa wasn't innocent. She'd cashed checks from Dad's gift fund, turned blind eye to the store's ghost employees. I thought it was over, she sobbed. After you got out. But he flips.
Jack.
One day saint, next devil. Like with Mom, he drove her to drink, then blamed the cancer on stress. The night deepened, tension coiling tight as a spring. Mike slunk off to bed, leaving us to whiskey and whispers. I showed her Eddie's files, the insurance fraud, Ray's affair rumors confirmed by old voicemails digitized from a tape. Her face strained. What now? She asked. Hand on her belly, the unborn kicking like a warning. Revenge, I said, simple. But smart. We hit the box first, your key. My muscle. She nodded. Complicit now. The family noose tightening. Dawn brought warrants. Cop cars churning mud at the quarry. But we were already gone. Racing to the bank in Dad's old truck. Hearts pounding to the rhythm of unraveling lies. Little did we know. Dad's plan wasn't just survival, it was resurrection. Flipping the grave we'd all dug. The First National Bank of Elmwood squatted on Main like a concrete toad. Its drive-thru shuttered for the holiday weekend. But the vault hummed 24/7 for folks like us with sins to stash. Lisa's hands trembled as she signed the registry. Family business. She lied to the teller. A high school classmate who blushed and looked away. Me? I loomed in the lobby, collar up against the AC chill, scanning for Russo's goons or Kessler's spies. Paranoia was my old cellmate, whispering trust no one through the bars. Down in the vault, air thick as a tomb, box 217 yawned open under fluorescent glare. Deeds. All right, store ownership transferred to me post-parole. Notarized slick. But underneath, the kicker, a ledger twin to the one I'd cooked. Entries fresh as yesterday, schemes from COVID relief loans, funneled to offshore shells. Dad's empire wasn't thriving, it was a house of cards, propped by federal cheese and small-town blindness. He was gonna use you, Lisa murmured, rifling yellowed pages. Front man again. Clean record. My brother the patsy. Then the photos, grainy Polaroids. Time-stamped 04. Dad and Ray in the garage. Arguing fierce, Ray's back to the lens. Dad's face twisted fury. Taken by? A shadow in the corner. Blurry. Mom's silhouette. Phone in hand. Evidence of the affair. Or set up for murder. My gut roiled. She knew, I said, pocketing a flash drive Eddie'd prepped for copies. And he killed her spirit for it. We bolted with the haul. Lisa, white-knuckling the wheel as we hit Route 82. Quarry in the rearview where yellow tape fluttered like surrender flags. Cops had found. Nothing?
No.
The call came mid-drive. Deputy Harlan. Voice tinny. Jack. Get your ass in. They dug up a body. But it ain't Ray. Some John Doe. 90s vintage. Your pop's laughing in his bed.
Flip.
Dad's ace. A decoy grave. Planted years back to throw hounds off the real scent. Russo's work? Or Dad's long game? Anticipating a day like this, we veered to the Rusty Nail. Back booth shrouded in smoke. Eddie waiting with his laptop glow. Quarry body's a hooker from Cleveland, he confirmed. Scrolling coroner leaks. Strangled. Dumped pre-millennium. Dad tipped anonymous years ago. Insurance. Make the sites hot so no dev ever touches it. Schemer supreme. Ray's hole? Miles off. Under the county landfill. Compacted with a decade's trash. We'd need heavy gear. Bribes. Eddie had contacts in waste management. Ex-cons owing favors. But first, Lisa's confession. Spilled over black coffee. There's more. After you went in. Dad. He tried with me. Not like that. God no. But pressure. Join the business. Honey. Keep it in the family. She'd resisted. Fled to Toledo. But Mike's debts dragged her back. He flips.
Jack.
Promises the world. Then takes it. Like with Aunt Clara, Mom's sister. Cut her out of the will for asking about Ray. Aunt Clara. The wild card I'd forgotten. Living reclusive in Florida. Emails sparse since Mom's death. Call her, I urged. Lisa did. Speaker on. Voice quavering. Clara picked up wary. Lisa? It's late. Then the flood. Ray was Mom's half-brother. Affair a lie Dad spun to justify the swing. Eleanor, your ma, she was leaving him. Ray helped pack. Bob found out. Lost it. Proof? Letters. Hidden in Clara's attic. Burned most. But one survived. Says Bob threatened her life. We overnight it, FedEx rush. $200 Eddie comped, and by noon, the envelope arrived at a P.O. box in Warren. The letter, Mom's looping script, dated weeks before diagnosis. Bob's unraveling. Clara. The rages. I fear for the children. Ray's taking us away. Carbon for divorce. But cancer came first. Dad's flip. Grief to gold. Pocketing her policies. Pinning sins on ghosts. Armed now, docs. Drive. Desperation. We hit Dad's bedside again. Kessler banished to the hall. He smirked through pain meds. Shoulder sling cocky. Brought the prodigal. Bail's a bitch. I slapped the letter down. Game's up.
Pop.
Mom knew. You killed Ray to keep her chained. His eyes flickered, first crack. Real fear?
Lies.
She was sick. Delirious. But Lisa. Voice steel. Clara's coming.
Testimony.
And the landfill. Eddie's got a crew. The flip came swift. Ally mode. Voice honeyed.
Wait.
Family first. I confess. Partial. The money.
Sure. Ray?
Manslaughter plea. You walk. Lisa inherits clean. But the body?
Dig it.
And Russo gets wind. He fronted the decoy. Owes me for bailing his ass once. Calls and markers. Your sister's house burns. Threat again. Layered with love. Controversial calculus. Save Dad. Doom ourselves? Or exhume? Risk fire? I wavered. That's the American rot, family as currency. Loyalty a ledger. One day, I said. To think. We left him scheming. Drove to the landfill under cover of dusk. Eddie's crew in a rented excavator. Floodlights dimmed. The air stank of methane and decay. Earth movers growling like beasts. We pinpointed via old surveys, Ray's tarp under layer 7. Coordinates from Dad's drunken ramble once. Digging was hell. Hours of diesel fumes and clanging steel. Rain turning mud to slurry. Then the bucket hit pay dirt a rip. Canvas blooming black. They hauled it up. Unwrapped slow. Bones. Yellowed. Jacket shreds with Ray's monogram. Dental records would confirm. But the watch Lisa's find sealed it. We reburied quick. Photos snapped. Eddie uploading to a dead man switch. If I go quiet. Drop to feds. Elation?
No. Nausea.
This was kin. Reduced to fragments. Lisa retched into the mire, me holding her hair, whispering, "It's over." But as we fled, tires spinning gravel, headlights caught a tail, black SUV. Russo's plates. Dad's plan. Flipped, not just decoy, but dog. The chase ignited. American thriller style. Rural roads slick. My truck fishtailing. Lisa screaming coordinates to Eddie. We lost M at the county line, holing up in a Super 8. Hearts jackhammering. "He sold us out," she said, curled on the bed, belly a mound of vulnerability. To save his skin. Betrayal's echo, deep as the grave we'd clawed. But the real tension coiled tighter. Clara's flight inbound. Fed circling. Dad's next flip could bury us all, or free us. At the cost of everything we'd clawed to keep. The Super 8 room smelled of Lysol and loneliness. The kind of place where truckers fuck and forget. Neon vacancy buzzing judgment through thin walls. Lisa paced. Phone clutched like a lifeline. Waiting for Clara's connecting flight from Tampa. Delta delay. Turbulence over the Carolinas.
Me?
I nursed a fifth of Jack from the glove box. The burn steadying nerves frayed as barbed wire. Russo's tale meant Dad's lips were loose. Whispering to his bookie from the hospital phone. Handle it.
Vin.
Family matter. Schemers flip from confessor to contractor. Putting hits on his own blood to protect the empire. Eddie texted at 2 a.m. Crew scattered. Feds pinged. Corridos ID'd as 92 runaway. Dad's anonymous tip was you. Pre-prison. Setup. My stomach dropped. I'd confessed to planting evidence as a teen prank. Dad's lie to the parole board. Painting me reckless. Now it looped, making the new dig look like my frame job. He's turning it, I muttered to Lisa. Screen glow carving shadows on her face. Us as the monsters. Dawn brought Clara, silver-haired hurricane in a pantsuit, hugging Lisa fierce in the lobby, then eyeing me like a suspect. Jack Harlan. Last time I saw you, knee-high and gap-toothed. Her rental car reeked of airport pretzels. We drove to a Perkins off the interstate. Booth private.
Coffee endless.
The letter spread on vinyl. Mom's words. Fragile as onion skin. Clara's voice cracked reading it. Eleanor called me that week. He's breaking. Clara. The store's a noose.
Ray?
My brother.
Pure.
Helped her plan escape. Apartments in Pittsburgh. Fresh start. Bob found the tickets. Proof piled. Clara's affidavit. Notarized in Florida. Swearing Dad's rages. Witnessed black eyes on Mom. Accidental falls. And the affair lie? Bob's fiction. Ray was gay. For Christ's sake. Had a partner in Dayton. Kept quiet for the church crowd. Twist 1. Dad's jealousy is smokescreen for control. Murder a panic kill over business betrayal. Ray pulling funding when he sniffed the schemes. We lawyered up next, not Kessler, but a pitbull from Cleveland. Marla Voss. Ex-Fed with a rep for gutting white-collar wolves. Her office overlooked the lake. Steel and glass screaming billable hours. You've got corpus. Motive. Opportunity, she said, flipping the flash drive. But Harlan Sr.'s connected. Donations to the DA's campaign. Russo's a ghost in witness protection nods. Plan, press conference, leaked to the plain dealer. Force Dad's hand before he flips the narrative. But tension simmered domestic. Lisa. Torn. Whispering doubts in the motel dark. What if he's right? Digging Ray. It's desecration. For what? More cages? Her hand on the bump. Unborn a vote against vengeance.
Me?
I saw the gray. Dad's flips weren't just malice. They were survival. American bootstrap myth twisted toxic. He made us this, I countered. But we choose now. Russo escalated that afternoon. Firebombed Eddie's van outside his apartment. Torched rig up higher on the evening news. Arson probe. Possible gang ties. Eddie called frantic. They're coming for the drive. Dead man's armed. Uploads in 24 if I ghost. We grabbed burner 2. Voss bundling us to a safe house in Akron. A bland colonial with panic room and Keurig. Clara bunked with Lisa. Aunt-nephew therapy over chamomile. Stories of mom's laugh. Ray's bad jokes. A childhood I'd romanticized into oblivion. Night fell heavy. Storm rattling windows like accusations. I slipped out for smokes. Porch light haloing the yard. When the flip hit personal, Mike's text. Slurred and scared. Russo's boys at the house. Want the books. Lisa safe. No, Lisa with us.
Mike.
The bobblehead. Left behind his bait. I floored it back to Elmwood. Rain sheeting windshield. Heart a drum solo. The house blazed when I arrived. Living room inferno. Flames licking siding like hungry tongues. Fire trucks wailed late. Neighbors gawking in PJs. Mike stumbled out. Soot-streaked. Coughing. They torched it for the safe. Dad's ledgers. He confessed then. Ray mixing tears. Knew about Ray since wedding. Dad's bonding talk over scotch. Covered for the schemes, too. Fudged insurance claims for inventory loss. Thought it was victimless, he wheezed. Till the baby. Flip for him. Coward to confessor. Handing over a USB from his pocket. Dad's recent emails to Russo. Coded hits. Use it. For her. Cops swarmed. But Voss worked magic. Cooperating witness. We pulled it all. Mike's drop. Clara's sworn. Eddie's upload ticking. Presser set for noon. Courthouse steps. Cameras hungry for scandal. Dad countered from his bed. Kessler leaking son's vendetta. Mental break. Painting me the unstable ex-con. Controversy brewed online. Ex-threads exploding. Harlan horror. Is family justice or just patricide? Polarizing already. Readers splitting. Dad deserved it. Toxic masculinity versus kid's a thug. Blood don't lie. The morning of hospital showdown. Dad. Discharged against Doc's orders. Waited in the safe house kitchen. How? Kessler's doing. Bail posted. He looked frail. Sling and all. But eyes sharp. Call it off.
Jack.
We're even. The offer. Full confession to the money. Ray as manslaughter. Store to Lisa. No bodies. No buzz. Russo stands down. His flip. Penitent. Voice cracking on I love you. Son. Controversial pull. Was it real? Morphine mercy?
Or ploy?
Buying time to torch the evidence chain? Lisa wavered. Tears hot. For the baby? Clara gripped her hand. Don't. He broke us once. Mike nodded silent.
Me?
The gun in my waistband burned. One truth, I demanded. Mom, did you push her to the end? A silence stretched. Then I yelled. That night. Pills. Argument. She took too many. Not murder. But nudge, suicide veiled as cancer mercy. Gray as fog off the lake. I lowered the piece. Confess public. Or we drop it all. He nodded. Defeated or feigning. As Voss's team rolled up for escort, tension peaked. Russo's SUV idling block away. Engine growl a threat. Dad's final flip loomed. Alliance or ambush? As flashbulbs popped and the world waited to judge. Courthouse steps in Akron midday bustle. Protesters with signs. Justice for Ray and blood debt paid. Clashing with Dad's VFW buddies waving support our troops flags. Twisting my prison stint into vet slander. Voss took the podium. Steel and pearls. Flanked by Clara and Mike. Lisa pale behind dark glasses. I hung back. Shadow in the crowd.
Gun a secret wait.
Eddie monitored from a van. Dead man's clock at 12 hours. Voss laid it bare. Robert Harlan stands accused of murder, fraud, and conspiracy. Evidence includes exhumed remains, forged documents, and witness corroboration. Gasps rippled. Cameras whirring like locusts.
Dad.
Center stage in sling and suit. Stepped up scripted, Kessler's pen. No doubt.
I
take responsibility, he intoned. Voice gravelly hero. The accident with Ray. The financial missteps, they haunt me. For my children, I confess. Applause from some. Jeers from others. Controversy crackled. X lit up. A Harlan confession trending. Debates fracturing feeds. Redemption arc or PR spin? Jack's the real villain. Shot his own dad. Polarizing perfection. Readers picking sides like teams at a cage match. Lisa gripped the mic next. Voice quavered a steel. He broke us. But truth heals. Clara nodded. Letter facsimile waved like a flag. Then Dad's flip, live. Unscripted. Midway through remorse, he seized the stand, eyes locking on me in the throng.
Wait. Lies. My son, Jack, he knew about Ray.
Helped bury him. Framed me for revenge. Gasps turned to uproar. Voss shouting objections as Kessler corroborated with planted witness statements, faked affidavits from old employees claiming I'd bragged in prison. Chaos. Cops surging. Protesters shoving. A bottle sailing to shatter at Dad's feet. I bolted then. Crowd parting like Red Sea scorn. Heart slamming. Russo's SUV peeled curbside. Door yawning. Ambush. But Eddie rammed it. His beater crunching fender. Giving me alley dash to a stolen Civic. Sirens wailed symphony as I hit the highway. Lisa's text burning. He's flipping everything. Get out. Safe house compromised. Kessler's leak. I veered to plan B. The store. Harlan Hardware. Dad's fortress. Back door jimmied. Aisles ghostly under security lights. Cash register gaping empty. Upstairs office. His sanctum. Desk scarred from rage fits. Safe cracked via Eddie's code. Combo my birthday.
Sick joke.
Inside, the motherlode. Not just books, but tapes, VHS grain, labeled insurance. I popped one in the ancient player. Static clearing to horror. Dad and Ray. Garage 04. Argument escalating. Crowbar swing caught clear. Ray crumpling. Then Dad to camera. Jack?
Clean this.
For Mom.
Me?
16 voice off screen. Pop.
No.
He'd filmed it. Bait or blackmail. The tape looped my complicity, holding light. Dragging tarp. Gray deepened. I'd abetted. Kid loyalty blinding. But the next tape? Mom. Weeks before death. Confronting. You killed him.
Bob.
For money. His roar. Shove she falls. Head cracking counter. Not suicide. Manslaughter 2. Pills a cover. Rage boiled pure. I torched it. Files. Drives. The lot. Zippo flicker to inferno. Flames devouring decades. Alarms shrieked as I fled. Store blooming orange behind. Fire of Phoenix. Or funeral pyre. Cops chased. But rural roads my ally. Ditches for hide. Stars for guide. Reunited at midnight with the crew in a barn off 224. Lisa. Clara. Mike. Eddie nursing bruises. He's claiming insanity now. Voss reported via sat phone. Her firm's raided. Russo's in custody, confessing hits for Dad. Dad's empire crumble live. News helicopters thumping over smoldering hardware. Feds swarming the hospital. Climax brewed. Arraignment dawn. Dad to face charges head-on. We crashed fitful. Lisa's labor pangs starting early, stress trigger. Doc warned. Hold on, I soothed. Hand on hers. But tension peaked personal. Mike's whisper. I flipped too. Told Russo where the safe house was. For Lisa. Betrayal echo. Controversial choice. Husband's sin for wife's safety?
Dawn broke bloody.
Sky hemorrhaging red. Courthouse redux. Metal detectors beeping accusations. Dad in orange.
Cuffed.
Smirking as they let him in. Jackie, he mouthed across the gallery. Family. The plea. Not guilty. Insanity bid. Flipping victim. Voss countered with tapes. My drop. Authenticated. Judge balked. Bail denied. Then the push. Dad lunged at the bar. Chains rattling. Screaming. He burned the store. Accomplice.
Me?
Hauled by bailiffs. Charged accessory after. Chaos courtroom. Benches overturning. Clara fainting. Lisa's water breaking mid-recess. Ambulance wail cutting the din. As they wheeled her out. Contractions gripping. Dad's eyes met mine through the scrum.
See?
Blood calls. His final flip? Or mine? In choosing fire over flight? The gray swallowed us. No heroes. Just survivors clawing from the pit. And as contractions hit peak, the real birth began. Truth's messy emergence. Debatable as any American tragedy. Lisa's labor hit like a freight train derailing, contractions slamming every 3 minutes as paramedics loaded her into the rig. Sirens slicing the courthouse pandemonium. Jack, she gasped, hand clawing mine through the gurney rail. Face slick with sweat and terror. Don't let him win. Clara piled in beside. Mike frozen on the curb, his flip haunting his eyes.
Me? You wrote shotgun.
Voss barking orders on Bluetooth. Stay clean, no statements till I clear you.
But clean?
We were all tarred. Dad's insanity, please smearing us as enablers in the court of public opinion.
Este.
Mary's ER was a war zone. Holiday overflow. Drunks puking tinsel. But they rushed Lisa to delivery private room. Monitors beeping fetal heartbeat like a metronome to madness. Boy, the doc said post-exam. Or girl. But stress is high, epidural stat. I paced the hall. Burner buzzing with X alerts, Harlan baby amid patricide trial. Memes twisting my shot into family feud farce. Trauma birthing a monster, one quipped. Polarizing peak, readers raging, let the kid inherit the curse versus. Redemption through new life. Dad's transport arrived an hour in. Ambulance bay. Cuffs swapped for restraints. Kessler trailing like a remora. He caught my eye through glass doors. Mouthing grandkid, flipped to grandfather. Crocodile soft.
Tell her. Congrats.
I spat at the partition, fogging it brief. Inside. Eddie guarded the door. Laptop sentinel. Dead man's dropped. Feds downloading tapes. Russo's singing, he murmured. Full conspiracy. Dad ordered the van torch. The tale. Labor dragged eternal. Lisa's screams echoing corridors. Clara coaching breaths. Push. Honey. Like your ma taught. Mom. Ghost midwife. Her strength mythologized. By hour 4. Dilation max. Doc calling one more. I held her then. Palm to palm. Feeling the crown dark hair. Like mine. Name him Ray, she panted. Or her Ella. Echoes of the buried. The cry came at 3:47 p.m. November 28th. Post-Thanksgiving miracle. Or curse.
Boy.
6 pounds even. Fists balled fury. They placed him on her chest. Umbilical pulsing. And for a breath. Peace. Tiny latch. Milk's promise. Jack Robert, she whispered. Eyes on me. Robert. Dad's shadow. Or reclamation. But precipice loomed. Cops swarmed post-birth. Warrant for my arrest. Accessory to arson. Voss intervened. Stalling with postpartum witness. Eddie slipped me the out. Backstairs to the lot. Civic waiting. Go dark. Trials and days, your testimony seals it. I kiss Lisa's brow. The babe's downy head. I'll be there. Promise.
Or lie.
Flight instinct kicked. Cleveland sprawl. Motels anonymous. Cash from the box dwindling. Ex hunted me. Fugitive dad on the run. Tips flooding lines. Russo's crew? Vaporized by feds. But dad's web lingered. Old clients. VFW whispers. I hold in a Parma dive. TV droning trial prep. His psych eval leaked. Delusional. Manipulated by son. Flip masterful. Painting me puppet master. Clara called night 2. Lisa's home.
Babe fine.
But dad. He's lawyering a deal. Partial confession for leniency. No murder. Just fraud. Ray as disappearance. Rage surged. I drove south. Vigilante itch. The jail visit. No contact glass. Dad serene in orange. Grandson.
Huh.
Looks like me. Smirk. Drop it.
Jack.
We split the insurance. New start for the kid. The offer hung. Controversial fork. Take the blood money. Let Ray rot undocumented. Lisa's safe. Or push. Risk everything. Her.
The boy.
My freedom. You pushed, Mom, I hissed. Admit it. His paws stretched. Then she fell.
I watched.
Too slow to catch. Confession sliver. Voice breaking real? Or bait? Flipping to sympathy jury? I left unresolved. Tension of ice. Trial eve. Boss's brief. Your tape's key shows complicity. But his hand on the crowbar. Gray admission. I'd helped bury.
Kid error.
But malice his. Arraignment morning. I turned self in. Courthouse steps redux. Cameras flashbulb blind. For family, I told reporters. Polarizing soundbite. Courtroom packed. Lisa in gallery. Babe nursing discreet. Clara steely. Mike absent. Flipped to state's witness. Dad entered. Eyes locking mine. Father to foe. Plea. Guilty to fraud. Not guilty murder. Voss pounced. Tapes rolled. Grainy doom. Jurors gasped at the swing. Mom's fall. Dad's cross. Coerced. Jack edited.
Lie.
But seed planted. Testimony mine. Stands sweating. Recounting all. The ledger. The burial. The shot. He made me the monster. I said, voice raw. But I chose the gun.
Jury split, visible nods.
Frowns. Dad's rebuttal. Psych doc droning, abused cycle, flipping victim. Controversy crested. Sidebar recess. Judge polling for bias. As they deliberated, Lisa approached, brave, through postpartum haze. Whatever happens,
Jack.
you're his uncle. Not the grave. Handshake through bars?
No.
Embrace. Babe gurgling between. But Dad's whisper from the dock. Tick-tock.
Son.
Deals open. Verdict loomed. Tension strung taut as a noose. No clear right, vengeance or mercy. The gavel's fall would decide. But the real judgment?
Ours.
In the ashes we sowed. Jury out 12 hours, longest in county history. Foreman later said, we fought like family. Courtroom a pressure cooker. Air thick with whispers. Bailiffs pacing. Dad doodling on his pad like a kid in detention. Lisa nursed in the back pew. Ray Jack's eyes mine. Damn it, darting curious at the suits. Clara clutched rosary beads. Lips moving silent. Voss typed furious on her tablet. Appeals prepped.
Me?
Cuffed to the bench. Gut-churning acid. Replaying Dad's deal on loop. Half mil for silence. Ray's bones reburied quiet. Mom's death accident. Easy out. American pragmatism. Cut losses. Raise the kid on Cayman cash. But easy's the lie we tell to sleep. The door swung at dusk. November 30th. Snow dusting the windows like confetti on a funeral. Foreman rose. Voice steady. On count one. Fraud. Guilty. Murmurs rippled. Dad's head bowed theatrical. Count two. Embezzlement. Guilty. Kessler objected futile. Then the meat. Murder in the first. Raymond Ellis, not guilty. Manslaughter. Guilty. Mixed. Jury split hairs. Controversial compromise. Accessory. Jackson Harlan, not guilty. Self-defense in the shooting. Gavel cracked like bone. Chaos. Cheers from Ray's ghost hunters. Boos from Dad's cronies. Dad flipped instant, shocked to sorrow. Tears streaming as they let him out. Jack. You did this. Accusation. Or absolution. Sentence hearing set for January. 15 to life probable. But with age 68. A cell till death. No deal now, the tapes sealed it.
Outside.
Media scrum. Mike's thrusting. Jack. Justice served. I pushed through. Lisa waiting by the van. Babe bundled. Gray. I said simple. Kissing her forehead. But enough. We drove to Toledo. Mike's apartment a temporary nest, his flip forgiven.
Or shelved.
Clara headed south. Letterboxed as heirloom. For the boy. Truth's his armor. Weeks blurred. Holidays hollow. New Year's fireworks mocking from afar. Dad wrote from lockup. Letters smuggled via Kessler. Voice paternal penitent. Proud of you. Son. Raise him right. Don't repeat. I burned them. Ashes to the wind off Lake Erie. Eddie vanished to Seattle. Crypto flush. Voss spilled fat. Case closed book. But the twist uncoiled slow. Debatable dagger. 6 months on. Lisa's call. Dad's dying. Cancer. Like mom. Irony. Or karma. Hospice visit. Him wasted. Tubes snaking. Eyes clear. Come to gloat. Wheeze laugh.
No. Iset.
Held the hand that swung the crowbar. To end it, his confession final. No flips. Pushed her. Pills were mercy after.
Ray.
Business.
But you?
My best mistake. He died at dawn. Monitors flatlining to birdsong. Funeral small. Lisa. The boy on my shoulder. Mike. Awkward eulogy. No VFW parade. Scandal soured it. We buried him by mom. Plot side by side. Secrets shared dirt. Epilogues gray. Store sold. Proceeds split. Lisa's nest egg. My bolt to Portland. Carpentry legit. Ray Jack toddles now. First words Uncle Jack. Grin gap-toothed like mine at 12. Vengeance? Sweet rot. Leaves you hollow. But life? Other plans? Yeah. Plans for redemption debatable. In a country where heroes are myths and survivors wear the scars. Was Dad monster or man-broken? I the avenger or enabler? Readers argue still. X threads eternal. Jack's tragedy, family's the real killer. Or he pulled the trigger, owns the blood. No right, no wrong. Just the American churn. Betray. Bury. Birth anew. And in the quiet, Thanksgiving 26. We carve turkey sans ghosts, plates past, words kind.
For now.